Caroline Lucy, and I head up the commercial and the marketing side for the Cobblers. I've been here now for 5 years, and lots has happened during that period of time. One of the key areas for us when I got here, a bit like Tony really, from the Saints, was the ageing demographic, which we've managed to kind of turn quite a bit. So we've got a much more younger demographic coming now, and we've also got a more sort of not massively even balanced male-female split, but certainly moving in that direction. Just like most sports, we tend to lose fans around their early 20s into their maybe 40s when they go off and they have children and mortgages and one thing and another. But what we wanted to look at was that whilst the age of 7 was key to us in getting that young child involved, it was the older demographic as well. And also during a match day, outside of the 90 minutes, it was looking at ways in which we could enhance the match day experience. So we took on quite a big programme a few years ago, and we won the EFL in Stadia award in 2018, and part of that was esports. So in the early days with esports, we were approached by an esport player who was also a big fan and one of the top esports players in the UK. We spoke to Game, and with Game we entered a sponsorship agreement to put in what we called the Game Zone. The Game Zone was then manned by Game, very, very successful on a match day, but also for an hour before kickoff you could have preset appointments to come and play the esports player, get involved, get tips and things like that. So that was very, very good. That worked really, really well. And we started to integrate that then to the corporate side of it, into the birthday parties and also our soccer school. So we had some outside play and then we had some inside play. And it was all manned and operated by Northampton Town and by our esports experts. What happened then was we then sort of looked at an esports team. The esports team was made up by different individuals all over the UK. It kind of didn't really work because of that fact, and the fact that it was difficult for us as a club to get some fan engagement participation, which is key for us. So at the end of last season, we decided to take a time out and to review what our esports strategy was, having done 2 seasons of it and having learned quite a bit from it. We were able to monetize it through sponsorship, and so we knew that that there was some grounds there for us to continue doing it, but actually, a bit like Tony, what do we do? Who do we engage with? If we do it, what stage, what platform do we do? So they've started the strategy. Obviously, from our side of it, FIFA is the big one for us. It is the biggest game, and it's got 260 million sales in 2018. So it is one that is very central to everything that we do on a match day. So we do play all the FIFA, and obviously with the EFL and the FA, we do get copies of FIFA, so we can run small little FIFA tournaments around that. We also then looked at who is actually running esports and running it well. That's the key for us. It's who's running it and running it well. Chris has already, Tony's mentioned about West Ham. You look at Man City and Wolves. Wolves, I suppose, is the main example because they've organically grown theirs and it's very successful. Man City entered and they're very, very successful, but they've obviously put some money behind that one. You've then got obviously your lower leagues, Northampton and Oxford, etc. So we were looking at them and learning best practice from them and taking their examples too. So from us, we've got the Game Zone. We know what it does. We know how well it's attended. We know that, you know, the equipment is all there and we're ready to go. But for us, what's important going forward is the fan engagement and reaching a new demographic of fans, exposing the brands of Northampton Town to that new demographic, and then making it self-sufficient, monetizing it so that we can reinvest in equipment, because as we all know, equipment changes all the time, but also to pay for tournaments, to maybe get involved in the digital side of Northampton, maybe, you know, being able at some point to put some funding into that to grow it. So, you know, our objectives are very clear. We want to grow the brand and we want to grow the presence in the gaming and the esports industry as a whole, not just football, but outside of it, as Tony's alluded to as well. You know, we want to, you know, build an engaging strategy. Sorry about this, my phone's turned off, but now my iPhone's on. We want to build up a new revenue generating stream so that we can reinvest, and we want to sustain and build what we've got. Already at the moment with FIFA, we play on the international circuit. So it's probably one of the very rare places where you can see the Northampton Town and the university brand on an international profile with FIFA. So as you can see, we can sit right beside people like Paris Saint-Germain and Liverpool and Chelsea and all the rest of them. So going forward, you know, we want to engage with the FIFA launch that's coming out fairly soon. We want to build the strategy which we're undergoing at the moment, the revision, the review of what we're doing. We want to also look at ways in which, once we've got that strategy down, we can then involve other gaming. So other games that are not necessarily relative to football, but might take us into another demographic, and also to work with Digital Northampton and with the university as well on ways in which we can increase our presence. So for us, the next steps are, we are currently finalising a 3-month pilot. We will be launching that around the FIFA. We are working with an esports consultant who has done this sort of thing before, because as Tony has said, as we've said, I think we're guilty of dabbling in the market, not really knowing, because we're not experts at this. So we need to link together with experts in this. We need to then maybe take that out, and we hopefully are hearing on a commercial partner who will share and support us with some funding. We want to evaluate what that pilot is, how it's worked. We want to do a full-on review of it. And then we want to put the strategy down for 2021 so that we've got some sort of a platform, a template upon which to grow, constantly reviewing it with KPIs all the way through. We do have some credible assets already. We have Scott Pollock, who is one of our first team players and was just announced yesterday as League 2 Apprentice of the Year. Scotty is #United. So again, you know, we've got some very good credibility with players. We want to, as I keep saying, open up some self-funding opportunities. We want to open up employment opportunities, and that's working with the university as well on being able to do work experience, focusing in and around the esports. And at some point, if this does grow and develop, to be able to have, you know, maybe permanent people who are working and focusing on that esports for us. And then working with Digital Northampton and the University of Northampton and Tony at the Saints and maybe other sporting partners in Northampton to actually put Northamptonshire on the esports and gaming map. So that's kind of where we're sitting at the moment on our esports. Very much a period of review, which is good because it allows us to take that step back, learn, listen, and review. I'm no esports expert, which is why, you know, I want to work with somebody who is and who has worked with other clubs before, and who will, you know, hopefully put us in the right direction of where we need to be. So that's us at the moment, Richard.
Thanks, Caroline. You've obviously done a lot of research into this to see what position you are in now and where you're going to go in the future. And interesting what you talk about there with Scott, one of your young players who's really into esports. Have you got many players like that? Is it something that the team, the players themselves, are into outside of the main game?
Well, I think they all play. Not all of them, mind, but obviously having been away from the club for a little while now, I need to get back in and learn who's who. But they're a great bunch in as much as when we ask them to do stuff, then they get involved. They helped us to drive the initial esports. They're fun and engaging. They're young. Obviously, we've got the academy as well. And our academy team, of which, Scotty comes from the academy as well, they're sort of into all of their gaming. So, the players are there, they're there to use, but as I think Tony also alluded to, we want to do it standalone. So do we need the players in order to build our esports? Possibly we don't. Possibly maybe just using one or two credible assets within that gaming profile, because I believe there's another one in the academy who's also quite big and has a number of followers on his Snapchat and Instagram for gaming. So I'm yet to unearth exactly how I can work with that young man as well.
Yeah. Okay. And a question from Peter Jones at the University of Northampton. Are you able to expand at all on the costs of creating an esports team? Is that something you've got to yet?
Well, at the moment, to be honest with you, it hasn't cost us a great deal because we took the idea to Game. At the time, Game were getting involved in football. So it was a good time for us. They provided us with all of the equipment, so that didn't cost us anything. The esports player didn't cost us anything because he wanted to do it to raise his own profile, which of course he did. It hasn't physically, monetary-wise, cost us anything. We've managed to cover it with sponsorship. So whilst Game gave us all the equipment, we also had another external sponsor who were very focused on the digital world, who got behind the esports team. As we stand at the moment, part of our agreement with the university is esports, and that's why we've kind of taken a step back in order to look and review, and also to work with the university more on how we can integrate their offer through our offer of esports in order to get it, to get a template right, so that there is very much an interaction between us and the university. As there is at the moment with work experience and internships, we want to extend that now into the esports program that they're putting on.
Oh, that's great. It sounds like you're really up for exploring the opportunities around collaboration locally. So hopefully that's something we'll touch on later on with the panel. Great. Thanks very much for that, Caroline. That was really interesting.
Thank you.